thousands of them. In a Tabligh Jamaat Ijtima'a, like cattle. And they consider themselves to be good Muslims. Like an ostrich with its head in the sand. Have absolutely no knowledge. They are in shirk. They are in shirk. And they know nothing about it. And when you go to them to teach them, they don't want to hear. They put wax in their ears. They don't want to hear you. So what do you do with such people? What do you do? You want to teach them, they don't want to learn. And then they've been programmed to reject everything else except that which Dajjal has given to them. This is Islam. This is what we have today. The International Monetary Fund has made haram what Allah made halal, and that is shirk. And when we accept what they have done and stop using dinar and dirham as money, we follow them into the shirk, the one sin that Allah will not forgive. Today all of us are in that shirk. Every time you use this money, every time you use this money which came out of the enemy from Dajjal, we are committing shirk. Every time. And this is why the hadith in Sahih Bukhari, we are told that 999 out of every 1,000 will enter into the hellfire, Jahannam. It matters not whether you're Sufi or Salafi or Wahhabi or Tabligh. Everybody in Jahannam. Because this is shirk. Instead of using gold dinar and silver dirham as money, and when the dinar and dirham are in short supply in Java, you don't have dates in Java, do you? No. No. You don't have wheat? No. You don't have barley? No. What do you have? Paras. Rice.
Rice.
So you'll use rice as money. Yeah. Does rice rot, or does it have a shelf life? Yeah, it has a shelf life. Yeah. Is it in abundant supply? Yes.
Yes.
Does it have intrinsic value? Yes. So you'll use rice as money. Is there any alim in Java who is telling you to use rice as money? Anyone? Even one? Do you know of even one? Huh? None. Not one. And yet this is the solution to the problem. To turn away from the shirk, you have to turn back to money in Islam. If you are to turn back into money in Islam, you can't use gold and silver. Your own gold mines in this country are not owned by you. Huh? If you want to return to Sunnah money, you're going to have to use rice as money in Java. Nobody talks about it. Huh? They gave us this instead.
Yeah.
If you take a piece of paper and you print a picture on it and you put a number and you give to this piece of paper a fictitious value, you are attempting to create wealth out of nothing. That also is shirk. Only Allah creates wealth out of nothing. Only Allah. So they give a fictitious value to it, and we accept that value, so we follow them into the shirk. So every time we use this paper and accept the value that they gave to it, we commit shirk. Does Tabligh Jamaat understand that with their head in the sand like an ostrich? No. They don't. They don't care about this. What are the implications of using this paper? The United States can buy all the oil of Saudi Arabia free of charge. You don't have to pay for it. No, it's free. All that you have to do is to get paper, ink, and a printing press. Paper, ink, and a printing press. And you can buy all the oil from Saudi Arabia, from those donkeys who have the Quran on their backs like a load of books. Huh? But what about when we print our paper? What can we buy? You take a basket full or a suitcase full of rupiah and you land in downtown Manhattan and you go to buy a cup of coffee. You cannot buy even a cup of coffee with a suitcase filled with Indonesian rupiah. That's the pathetic state that we have. Can you turn on the fan, please? Thank you. And so, as they print their paper, they can buy anything they want free of charge. And when we print our paper, we cannot. So they go richer and richer, and we go poorer and poorer. But that's not the end of the game. The game is that all the paper money must constantly be decreasing in value, all. But their paper must sink at a lower speed than ours. As the paper goes down in value, prices will rise. And they call that inflation. And you can go and do your PhD in finance from Harvard and Yale and from Oxford and Cambridge and come back with zero knowledge of inflation. Simple. Because they don't study monetary economics from the perspective that we've given you here. This is going to be too cold for you, so I suggest you put your chair. I'll come on this side here.
It's going right under my feet.
Yeah.
My feet are my weak spot.
And so prices will rise for us faster than for them. And as prices rise, the implication is our money is falling. And so the cost of living is increasing. In fact, we are becoming poorer. And yet poorer. Until they are ready to tighten the noose around the neck. And that is about to occur. While the world of Islamic scholarship is eating masakan padang and going home to sleep. The rope is tightening around our necks. If Israel attacks Iran, it will not be only for the reason stated, namely to destroy the nuclear plants in Iran. That's only one reason. Israel knows very well that within hours of an attack on Iran, the price of oil is going to start rising. And as the price of oil rises, the price of gold will also rise. And the rising price of gold will be the falling value of the dollar, because gold is valued in dollars and oil is valued in dollars. The two are linked together. Oil and the dollar, gold and the dollar, linked together. within days of an attack on Iran, the price of oil and the price of gold is going to go even higher. Because not only will this export of Iranian oil be stopped, the export of Iraqi oil will also be stopped. More than that, the Kuwaiti oil and the Saudi oil will have to pass through the Gulf, through the Straits of Hormuz to get out. And Iran will block the Straits of Hormuz. And neither the United States nor Israel will be able to prevent that. In fact, I don't think the Zionists want to prevent it. I think the Zionists want Iran to block the Straits of Hormuz. Because I think the Zionists want the US dollar to collapse. When the US dollar collapses, the whole world of paper money is going to collapse with it. But it is those currencies which are weak currencies that are going to witness panic. Maybe if Israel attacks Iran, within a matter of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month, you'll see Indonesians dumping their rupiah as fast as they can. Buy anything you can buy with your rupiah. Because Indonesians are not stupid. No. Testing is on. Testing is on, yeah. The price of bread will be rising 3-4 times a day. It's called runaway inflation. And Indonesians would know that their paper money is going to collapse. If you keep on holding on to it for too long, all you can do is use it as wallpaper. In that panic to dump the paper, it will accelerate the fall of the paper. It's a vicious circle. Government is powerless to stop that. Well, then what will be the new money? The new money, of course, will be electronic money. And electronic money is not controlled by governments. Electronic money is controlled by banks. The banking system will now create all the money in the world. Any amount they want, you just type it in, and all the donkeys will accept it. And anytime you find somebody who is obstacle in your way, you type out his money. That's all. Type it out. You can't take your money out of the bank because there's nothing intangible. No. You can't see your money, you can't touch your money. It's invisible, it's intangible. Now, as the money collapses, the paper money collapses, whatever wealth that you had will vanish. And so large numbers of people are overnight going to become poor and destitute. Overnight. What do we do before we end? The answer is, we made the mistake with the paper money. Don't make the mistake with the electronic money. Do not become a part of the electronic money system of the world. No. To do that, you have to reside in a place where you can't use a cell phone. to do that, to escape from them, you'll have to reside in a place where you cannot use a cell phone. Therefore, you cannot be a part of the electronic banking system. No. In such a location, which of course will be the remote countryside, you will survive. You will have your own market, and in that market, you'll come back to Sunnah money. You will never know what is inflation. No. Because you're returning to real money. The enemy cannot rip you off. No. He cannot rob you. Because your money is in your own hand, in your own pocket, not in a bank. But in the remote countryside, you have a second benefit. And that is that once the attack takes place on Iran, which we expect anytime soon, events are going to immediately follow one another until it will culminate with World War. And that World War will be a war between the giants, the American-led coalition and the Russian-led coalition, Gog and Magog. And it will be nuclear warfare. That nuclear warfare, when it takes place, will leave America without any people. America will become a wilderness. Canada will become a wilderness. Europe will become a wilderness. Nobody there. Everybody gone. Huh? And much of the rest of the world also will perish. Because you have thousands of nuclear weapons being used and exploding. Thousands. Every city, major city in the world will perish. And Allah speaks of this in Surah Al-Isra, but we don't read the Quran anymore. In Surah Al-Isra He says, وَإِن مِّن قَرْيَةٍ إِلَّا نَحْنُ مُهْلِكُوهَا قَبْلَ يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ أَوْ مُعَذِّبُوهَا عَذَابًا شَدِيدًا كَانَ ذَلِكَ فِي الْكِتَابِ مَسْطُورًا. And not a single town or city will escape. We'll destroy them all. We will destroy them all. And those which escape destruction will be punished with a terrible punishment. And all of this is inscribed in the book. The ones who will survive the rioting in the cities when there is no food, survive the nuclear explosions and the radiation, the nuclear radiation, will be those who are outside of electronic range in the remote countryside. And those are the ones who tomorrow will form the army that will liberate the Holy Land. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may protect us and open a way for us that we may escape that doom that now awaits mankind. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين.
Long lecture, but full of many interesting and important matters to be thought about and to be pursued. If there is no change in our lifestyle after the lecture was a waste for us. So we must try and bring into practice the main points of the lecture in our daily lives, as much as we can, even if it's just bit by bit, slowly. But I think the lecture has woken us up, rather than send us to sleep, it has woken us up on the matter of money and riba and sunnah money. And at very least we should make an effort to return to sunnah money, dinar and dirham. So it's a time for questions. If you have any questions in English or in Indonesian.
Let me answer his question.
Oh yes.
The bank, you take a mortgage with the bank and then there's an insurance policy attached to it to ensure that your money is not lost. Insurance is a sister of riba. Insurance is a sister of riba. The money lender does not want to suffer loss. No. One second. So, that's why he lends money on interest. But Allah can still take from him through other means. He owns a warehouse, and the warehouse is worth 5,000 million rupiah. And a fire comes and consumes the whole warehouse and it's all reduced to zero. But he wants to get back his money. How to get back that 5,000 million rupiah worth of a warehouse? Answer? You have to create something called insurance. And you take the 5,000 million from all the donkeys out there and give it back to me. And I'll pay a certain price for it, but I'll get it back. Insurance, 9 times out of 10 benefits the rich, and less than 1 time out of 10 benefit the rest. Islam has its own insurance. Our insurance is the Jama'ah. That if your house is burnt down in fire and you have no shelter, the whole Jama'ah will come together to try to offer you the minimum that you need for maintenance, for basic needs. And this is the institution of zakat. Zakat. So our insurance company is zakat. Zakat will not replace what you lost. No. Allah took it away from you. Why should we return it to you? But zakat will ensure that you have the basic necessities of life. So we do not ensure. Rather, we ensure, not insure, we ensure that the Jama'ah will provide to you if you suffer loss. The Jama'ah will provide for you your basic necessities. That is insurance in Islam. Any questions?
Mr. Fas?
Sure, 3 quick questions for me. You said that riba is constitutes of 70 parts. Is this an open interpretation that will coming up till now? And my second question is regarding
the Quran, the Hadith does not identify the 70.
Okay.
No. It does not say that there are 70 forms or 70 kinds of riba. No. It's that if you divide riba into 70 parts, okay, then the smallest part, not the smallest kind, the smallest part would be equivalent to a man marrying his own mother. So don't look for what are the names of all the 70. Yes.
I'm not looking for the other name, but the other form of riba.
No, don't look for the other forms.
Don't also?
Don't look for the other kinds.
Okay.
It is like taking a bowl of sugar and dividing it into 70 different parts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My second question regarding the banking system that is prevalent in this world. I imagine that if the banking system in the world is riba, it means that we don't have any transaction. It's just personal transaction, or rather not institution transaction that institutionalized by the bank, whether it's personal like old days.
whatever be the transaction, whether it be a banking transaction or a non-banking transaction, once you use the paper money, it's haram. Okay? Good. When you leave interpersonal transactions and you go to the bank, you have another form of riba in the bank. This one is the use of the paper money, which is a vehicle of rip-off, this one, and that's riba. But the bank now is a vehicle for the accelerated accumulation of wealth by the wealthy. Because the bank not only lends you money on interest, but more than that. If I have 50,000 rupiah in my pocket, and people come to me to borrow money from me, what is the maximum I can lend?
50,000.
50,000. Huh? Unless I'm a bank. If I'm a bank and I have only 50,000 in my pocket, I can lend 50 million. It's called fractional reserve banking. In other words, one rip-off is paper, ink and printing. And this is another rip-off now. That money I don't have, I can lend. Okay. So this is accelerating the rip-off.
My last question, Sheikh. Regarding the alternative of money, if we make it in Indonesia, like rice, it is difficult to measure rice, the standard of rice, because it's too small, and there's no consensus between the ulama in Indonesia. How can we use rice, and how can we make it the standard as gold and silver is more easy?
So, I don't suggest to you that you wait for the consensus of the ulama.
Okay.
Because they're all sleeping.
So how?
They're all sleeping.
Sleeping on the bed.
And even if you go and try to wake them up, they don't want to wake up. No? I know. I've been shouting from the mountain tops for 15 years now. The only man who heard me was Dr. Muhammad Mahathir. Umar Badilio and myself have been in this region talking on the subject. We were the only two, Umar Badilio and myself. Who listened to us? The ulama in charge in Kelantan. Kelantan never listened to us. No. But when Dr. Mahathir got up and he declared that this US dollar is a form of imperialism, and he called for the return of dinar and dirham, only then did Kelantan wake up. Kelantan. Kelantan, don't you know who is Kelantan?
State in Malaysia.
Kelantan is a state in Malaysia.
But who
Kelantan, when I speak of Kelantan, I assume you will understand that PAS is in control in Kelantan. Islamic movement is in control in Kelantan. Ulama in control of Kelantan, not Mahathir. So when I say Kelantan, I mean the ulama, the PAS ulama. We spoke to them, they never listened to us. And those are the political ulama. Huh? So don't wait for every time you use this money which came out of the enemy from Dajjal. We are committing shirk every time. And this is why the hadith in Sahih Bukhari, we are told that 999 out of every 1,000 will enter into the hellfire, Jahannam. It matters not whether you're Sufi or Salafi or Wahhabi or Tabligh. everybody in Jahannam. Because this is shirk. Instead of using gold dinar and silver dirham as money, accept that which Dajjal has given to them. This is Islam. This is what we have today. The International Monetary Fund has made haram what Allah made halal, and that is shirk. And when we accept what they have done and stop using dinar and dirham as money, we follow them into the shirk, the one sin that Allah will not forgive. Today all of us are in that shirk. Every time you use this money, and thousands of them, in a tabligh jamaat ijtima'a, like cattle, and they consider themselves to be good Muslims, like an ostrich with his head in the sand, have absolutely no knowledge. They are in shirk. They are in shirk, and they know nothing about it. And when you go to them to teach them, they don't want to hear. They put wax in their hairs. They don't want to hear you. So what do you do with such people? What do you do? You want to teach them, they don't want to learn. And then they've been programmed to reject everything else. And when the dinar and dirham are in short supply in Java, you don't have dates in Java, do you? No. No. You don't have wheat? No. You don't have barley? No. What do you have? Paras. Rice.
Rice.
So you use rice as money. Does rice rot, or does it have a shelf life? Yeah, it has a shelf life. Yeah. Is it in abundant supply? Yes.
Yes.
Does it have intrinsic value? Yes. So you use rice as money. Is there any alim in Java who is telling you to use rice as money? Anyone? Even one? Do you know of even one? Huh? None. Not one. And yet this is a solution to the problem. To turn away from the shirk, you have to turn back to money in Islam. If you are to turn back into money in Islam, you can't use gold and silver. Your own gold mines in this country are not owned by you. Huh? If you want to return to Sunnah money, you're going to have to use rice as money in Java. Nobody talks about it. Huh?